If you really want to move past your daddy issues, you're going to have to walk in forgiveness. You're going to have to walk in forgiveness. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something very deep, something powerful, but yet very, very necessary, and that is daddy issues. What is daddy issues, Dr. Holt? It is the pain and trauma of absentee fatherism. It's the pain and trauma, talking about the unseen scars of fatherlessness. Which is a very, very deep and very, but yet necessary conversation to have. Do you have daddy issues? Possibly. When we talk about daddy issues is growing up without a father. Growing out without a father, far as he's totally not in your life, or growing up not growing up with a father, in regards to maybe you know who he is, but you never had an opportunity to have a relationship with your father. Or, believe it or not, absenteeism is also, he may be physically in the home, but emotionally he's not available. That also can be fatherlessness as well. To where we do actually have fathers in the home, but he's just emotionally not available. And that brings pain and trauma to many people. Fatherlessness is a almost an epidemic in our country. We are having more fatherless homes like we've never seen before. It's funny because it's personal with me, and this is eventually going to be a future book that's coming out, and so I thought it was important that we talk about it, because fatherlessness is one of my big traumas and pains. As a man, as a doctor, as a clinician, as an expert, yes, me. And this is personal for me why I wrote it, because I realized that there were many other children, many young men like myself, that had to navigate through life without a father. And I remember growing up, I used to say, what was wrong with me that my father did not want me? I remember growing up saying to myself, like what was wrong with me that my father could live life knowing that he had a child out there, and do not anything for. See, I understand what it feels like. I know what it's like to grow up in life, never celebrating Father's Day. Growing up, not receiving a birthday card or a birthday gift from my dad. I remember growing up, out of all the Christmases that I have fortunately been able to experience, not one had anything to do with my father. I cannot remember not one holiday that I experienced with my father. Isn't that amazing? I remember when I was playing in sports in school, I used to feel some kind of way because some of my friends in school, while we were playing flag football, their dad was there cheering them on. And I remember feeling sad. And I remember feeling some kind of way, that I ain't even having my father to come and support me. Even when I had accolades and award ceremonies, I used to play in band. I used to play in the orchestra, played instruments, and I never had the experience of my dad coming to support me, saying "Good job, son," or "Son, I'm proud of you," or anything like that. And that created a lot of trauma. That created a lot of trauma because that meant that my mother had to struggle providing for me and looking out for me and keeping a roof over my head and putting food on the table, because she just did not get that support from my father. No child support, no financial assistance from my dad. I remember as a single parent coming home, there were times that the lights was off. There was no electricity. I remember sometimes we would be embarrassed. There was no water. We would have to go to the neighbor's house and put some water in the bucket, just to flush the toilet. I'm talking real stuff today. And there was no support. I remember my mama working really hard to make ends meet just so I can have school clothes and all of that. And there's not one time my dad thought enough about me or my brothers to look out for us. And so that was a deep traumatic wound that I carried with myself all the way up from a young boy to a teenage, all the way up to a grown man. And still to this day, I do not have a healthy relationship with my father. And I know I'm not the only one. And I know I'm speaking into some situations that you might be experiencing. And I think that in order for us to heal, we have to be honest about where we are and what our experiences are. It takes bravery to talk about stuff like that. But um, daddy issues, I got daddy issues. Is something that that inspired me because that was me. That's my story. And I realize that there's many people that's like me. There's many brothers out there, many men out there that's angry, grew up, really ticked off at the world because they grew up with no dad. And they seen even their father. I've seen my father have children with other women, but yet left me out there cold and dry. And I know some of you have had some of that as well. Yeah, you've seen your father show more priority to other children and other family and things like that, but left you out. And so when we talk about daddy issues, the daddy issues is really speaking into the trauma of not having a relationship with your father. It impacts you. It impacts men and it also impacts women. I always say that daughters need their daddies and men need their fathers. It's very important. Why do daughters need their daddies? Because it's important because he is the first male role model that shows you what a man really is. And study shows that when there is a healthy emotional attachment from a daughter that has with her father, it builds self-love, it builds self-value, and it builds high self-esteem. See, he's the first impression about what a man is supposed to be and how a man's supposed to carry themselves. And matter of fact, even when they become older and become an adult woman, it's their choice of a partner, their choice of a spouse, their choice of who they're going to marry has a lot to do of the healthy relationship that she has had with her father. If the father was a good father and nurtured her like he's supposed to and provided for her and protected like he's supposed to, then she's going to have high expectations for her future a life partner and spouse and husband. And same way with boys. They're our first role model. They shows us of what a man's supposed to be. I salute my mother for being a great mother, a hardworking mother who made some really tireless sacrifices for me and my little brother to have food on the table and all of that. And she did the best she can as a single mother. And there are many single mothers that have done a great job on raising boys. But it takes a man to show another boy how to be a man. And that's why it's important for fathers to be also in the man's life because that's the image. That's the example. That's the model that boys need far as growing up and navigating through life in this world is there to get that image, there to get that inspiration and motivation and model from their father. So yes, it's true that young ladies need their daddies and son needs their fathers. And the good thing about it is if you have daddy issues, you got to face them. You have to face them. And you have to be honest about yourself. And be honest about your trauma and be honest about how you feel. Because if you don't, you're just going to be faking. And I think it's time for us to just be real and talk about, um, you know, the time that it is very important for us to deal with our daddy issues. Daddy issues is very common. There's so many people that don't have fathers. And what we also saw is that not only you have daddy issues, but communities have daddy issues. Anytime you don't, communities are lacking fathers, communities have daddy issues. What do daddy issues look like for community? We saw in studies that communities that suffer from fatherlessness and have daddy issues, you have higher crime. You have higher crime. We also saw in studies that individuals who have daddy issues have more contact with law enforcement. Arrests, convictions, and incarceration is higher when individuals are lacking healthy relationships with their fathers. Isn't that amazing? We also saw in academics that when children had healthy relationship and emotional attachments with their dads, they perform better academically in school, and they are more successful in life when they have their fathers in their life. There's so many benefits that we see that when a home has a two-parent household and has a healthy relationship with their fathers and have a healthy marriage and all those things that goes into God's plan, we see that there's healthy benefits. But we also see that when we don't go according to God's plan, we also see the ramifications and repercussions of those bad choices. In the African American community, it's about 60 to 70% of black homes that don't have black fathers in the home. You better believe that impacts young children of color like never before. So we have to do more on making sure that our fathers are in place. We also see sometimes where if the marriage don't work out or the relationship don't work out, we also see where parents weaponize relationships and fathers can't see their kids. That also impacts children. I mean, so we can go all kind of different ways on why people have daddy issues and why people have self-esteem issues and why people have self-image issues, but it has a lot to do with your father. What we need to do is now that we know what we know, we got to move forward. It's time for us to be a better version of ourselves. Well, how do you do that? Well, you're going to have to face the man in the mirror and say, hey, this impacted me, but I need to be a better version of myself. And believe it or not, I know you're going to it may sound unfair. And believe it or not, I know it may sound like you being a wimp. But let me tell you, if you really want to move past your daddy issues, you're going to have to walk in forgiveness. You're going to have to walk in forgiveness. But you just don't know. He ain't been in my life for the last 20 years. You're going to have to find a pathway to forgive your father. You just don't know. He took care of his other kids, and he knew my mama was struggling, and he didn't do anything for us and my brothers and sisters. I get it. I know it was painful. I get it. I know it was a dreading of experience. But let me tell you that if you want peace and if you want restoration, you have to learn how to forgive. And you have to learn how to forgive even whether he's dead or alive. Think about that. You have to learn to forgive whether he's dead or alive. Finally, I'll say time is short. Time is too short to stay mad forever. Life is too fragile. You can be here one day, you can be gone another. Or if your father is still alive, that means that you've been graced with some time to perhaps bring restoration and bring restoration and reconciliation to something that's been dead. I've seen remarkable stories of how father and son relationships and father and daughter relationships were toxic, was damaged so severely. But one of the members of the party made a choice to walk in forgiveness and try to bring restoration. That might be you while you listening to this. So I encourage you to face your daddy issues, but more importantly, to navigate through them and heal from your daddy issues, because you might be able to have a remarkable testimony, a remarkable story of success that me and my dad relationship was on the rocks. Me and my dad's relationship was in turmoil, but through work, through therapy, through communication, through counseling, through just listening to each other, and yes, making a decision to forgive, it's no secret what God can do. So I hope that this has helped you. If you got daddy issues, you're not alone. You're not the first and certainly not going to be the last. But there's power in this story. There's resilience in this story that you can face your triggers, you can face your pain, you can face your trauma, and you can make the decision to let go and move forward. Last thing I will say is forgiveness is not even all about your father. It's more about your peace. It's more about your restoration. It's more about your resilience. And whether he's dead or alive, make up in your mind to not let that pain live in your mind rent free, but evict that pain, evict that trauma, and move forward. All right, this is your boy, Dr. Holt, the trauma doctor. You just heard me go in on a special episode on I Got Daddy Issues. Listen, that's a book coming out as well on Amazon. So stay tuned, keep it locked. Next month is coming out. We want you to go get that book. I Got Daddy Issues. If you're struggling, not that you was raised without your father, didn't have a relationship with your father, and still to this day in your adulthood, you don't have a relationship with your father like you want, you probably got daddy issues like I had daddy issues. And this book is going to be a blessing to speak truth to your pain, speak truth to your trauma, but more importantly, give you the steps that you need to navigate through your daddy issues and become the best version of yourself. It might be very possible that you might be one of the ones who have the power of resilience, reconciliation, and restoration, and get your dad back into your life, and you guys rebuild your life like God intended it to be. So take care. Don't forget, I Got Issues on Amazon next month, March 2026.